What would you do if someone who died years ago suddenly started writing to you? Not a joke, not a prank, real letters with details no one else could know. Stay with me, this is going to be interesting because by the end of this story, you might question how time really works. This story is fictional, but it explores one of the strangest ideas about memory, loss, and the unknown. And guys, this is serious, because sometimes the most mysterious stories aren't about ghosts or monsters. Sometimes they're about messages that arrive when they shouldn't. And this story begins with a man named Daniel. Daniel was a quiet architect who lived alone in a small town. His life was simple: work during the day, long evening walks, and quiet nights at home. But there was one chapter of his life he could never forget: his childhood best friend, Marcus. They had grown up together, shared dreams, and promised to stay friends forever. But life had other plans. Marcus had died in a car accident nearly 10 years earlier. At least that's what everyone believed. One rainy evening, Daniel came home from work and noticed something unusual in his mailbox: a single envelope. No return address, nothing special about it, except the handwriting. The moment Daniel saw it, his heart skipped, because he recognized it instantly. It looked exactly like Marcus's handwriting. At first, Daniel laughed nervously. Maybe someone was playing a strange joke. But when he opened the letter, his hands started shaking. Inside were just a few simple words. "Hey Daniel, I know this will sound impossible, but I need you to trust me." Guys, a lot of strange things are happening in this world, and this was only the beginning. Daniel searched the envelope again. No stamp from another city, just a regular local postmark. That meant someone had mailed it nearby. But how could Marcus send a letter if he had died years ago? Daniel tried to ignore it. He told himself it had to be a prank. But 3 days later, another letter arrived. Same handwriting, same mysterious tone. This time, the message said, "If you're reading this, it means the letters are finally reaching you." Stay with me, because this is where things start to get really disturbing. The letters became personal. The third letter changed everything. Inside was a message that made Daniel sit down immediately. "Tomorrow morning, take the long route to work. Don't drive across Pine Bridge." At first, Daniel thought it was ridiculous, but something about the handwriting and the memories it triggered made him hesitate. So the next morning, he avoided Pine Bridge, and later that day, he saw the news. A truck accident had completely shut down the bridge. Nobody was seriously hurt, but the crash had happened at the exact time Daniel usually drove across. Guys, this is serious, because now the letters weren't just strange, they were predicting things. Daniel began keeping every letter, studying the handwriting, comparing it with old notes Marcus had written years ago. They were identical. Every loop of the letters, every tiny detail. It was impossible to fake so perfectly. Weeks passed and more letters arrived. Each one contained small warnings or strange pieces of advice. Avoid certain roads. Call this client before noon. Take a different train. And every single time, the advice turned out to be helpful. But Daniel had one question he couldn't ignore. If Marcus had died, who was sending the letters? One night, Daniel noticed something unusual about the latest envelope: the postmark. It wasn't recent. It showed a date from 9 years earlier. Daniel froze. He checked the other letters. Some had similar marks, faded but visible. It looked like the letters had been mailed years ago, but somehow they were only arriving now. This is where things get really disturbing, because the next letter contained a message that made Daniel's stomach drop. "Daniel, if you're reading this, something must have gone wrong." The final letter was longer than the others. Marcus explained something unbelievable. Years ago, before the accident, he felt something strange, a feeling that his time might be short. So he wrote dozens of letters to Daniel, just in case. Each one contained advice, memories, and warnings. Then he asked a small local mail service to send them slowly over the years. But there was one thing Marcus never told anyone. In the last line of the letter, Marcus wrote, "I don't know why, but I kept feeling like the future was trying to reach me through you." And suddenly, Daniel realized something. Some of the warnings Marcus gave had happened after Marcus died, which means Marcus couldn't possibly have known them unless something else had helped write those letters. Daniel never received another message after that. The letters stopped completely, but every now and then he rereads them and he remembers the friend who somehow protected him even years after he was gone. Sometimes life gives us mysteries we may never fully understand, and maybe that's okay, because love, friendship, and memory have strange ways of traveling through time. So, let me ask you something. If someone you lost suddenly sent you a message from the past warning you about the future, would you believe it? Or would you think something impossible was happening? Comment below and tell me what you think. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because tomorrow I'm bringing you another story that might make you question reality itself. Stay tuned.